There is a particular kind of frustration that shows up in the early years of building wealth. The feeling of working steadily, saving consistently, and still watching the number in your account grow at what feels like an almost imperceptible pace. And this frustration is not a sign that something is wrong with your effort. It is actually a signal that you are experiencing one of the most consistent mathematical realities in personal finance, the strange and often misunderstood truth that your first $100,000 takes longer to accumulate than almost any equivalent sum that comes after it. To understand why, it helps to separate the emotional experience of saving from the mathematical mechanics underneath it. Because early on, nearly all of your progress comes from your own labor, from the discipline of setting money aside month after month, and very little of it comes from the money working on your own behalf. Compound growth, the force that eventually accelerates wealth building, requires a base large enough for percentages to translate into meaningful dollar amounts, and in the beginning that base is simply too small to produce anything that feels significant. So a 7% return on $10,000 is $700, a number that barely registers against the emotional weight of the effort required to save it in the first place. This is where psychology intersects with mathematics, because the human mind is wired to notice visible progress, and when progress is slow and largely invisible, motivation naturally erodes. Even though the underlying system is functioning exactly as it should, the math becomes clearer when you examine how compounding behaves over time, since growth is not linear but exponential, meaning that the same percentage return produces increasingly larger absolute numbers as the base increases, so the effort required to move from 0 to 100,000 is disproportionately larger than the effort required to move from 100,000 to 200,000. Not because the second interval requires less saving, but because it now has help from money that is already working. Zooming out to a systemic level, this pattern echoes throughout economic history, from early industrial capital formation to modern retirement account trajectories, where every threshold before critical mass is defined primarily by labor, and every threshold after it is defined increasingly by structural momentum. Recognizing this shifts the way many people relate to their own financial identity, because instead of interpreting slow early growth as personal failure, it becomes possible to see it as a predictable phase within a larger system, one that rewards patience precisely because impatience is the most common reason people abandon the process before compounding has room to work. Understanding this does not promise a particular outcome or a specific timeline, but it does offer something more useful, a clearer, calmer framework for interpreting where you are in the process and why the mathematics of the beginning look so different from the mathematics of what comes next.